there's a way that society sees disability, and there's a way that I see
Yeah.
disability. We don't
Yeah.
often agree. Because I see it as a circumstance, and a circumstance that
Hmm.
is not not something that is necessarily supposed to hold you back. It's something that you're supposed to evaluate. It's
Yeah.
something that you're supposed to analyze, and then use to your advantage. I find my disability to be sometimes an advantage at times. I'm able to see the world in a from a different perspective. I'm able to shed
Yeah.
light on people in a different way, and
Hmm.
I'm able to show people what disability is capable of and what people with
Yeah.
disabilities are capable of. And that, for me,
Mhm.
ultimately, that's a superpower that I have, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
Mic check 1, 2. Yeah. I said it's past the mic, son. Podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. I said it's past the mic, son. Podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. It's past the mic, son. Podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to
All right.
let
Welcome,
you
everyone,
know.
to the
It's
Pass
past
the
the
Mic
mic,
Son
son.
podcast show. I have a very special guest today. I'm excited. Mr. Matt Scott, two-time Paralympic gold medalist. Very excited about the conversation today. One of the things that we focus on here at Pastor Mike is, mental health and how to persevere in getting through mental health and just be able to speak about your experience and this being a safe space and sharing and how you can help others. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Matt Scott. Today's guest is a definition of resilience, discipline, and excellence. Matt Scott is a two-time Paralympic gold medalist with Team USA in wheelchair basketball, not only for his elite performance on the court, but for his powerful voice off of it as well. Born with spina bifida, Matt turned what many would see as a limitation into a driving force, becoming one of the top athletes in adaptive sports. Over the years, he's helped elevate wheelchair basketball on the global stage while also using his platform to advocate for inclusion, representation, and opportunity for athletes with disabilities. Beyond the game, Matt is a speaker, mentor, and cultural influencer who continues to inspire people around the world to redefine what's possible. He's also part of the upcoming DK3 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball experience, an event blending sport, culture, and community at the highest level. Pastor Mike, with this conversation, you don't want to miss it. Help me welcome Mr. Matt Scott to the Pastor Mike Son podcast show. Welcome, Mr. Scott. We appreciate you. How you doing today?
Man, I feel so good, and especially, I mean, who can't feel good after a introduction like that? I really want to say thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, this is a wonderful platform, and the my ability to tell my story is really something I see as a huge thing. So I really appreciate you sharing your platform with me, and that was an amazing introduction. I'll have to take you everywhere
You
I
know,
go.
I want to show people that love, man. You deserve it, but you deserve it. Everything you went through, you deserve your flowers. A lot of get their flowers. You know, everyone should get their flowers while they're here. You know what I'm saying? All
100%.
right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're gonna jump right into it. Uh, Matt, when people hear two-time gold medalists, they think greatness, right? What part of your story do you wish people understood before the medals?
Ooh, before the medals, I mean, it's really easy to tell my story from the back, all from like already accomplishing things. It's easy to tell that story after I've accomplished the things. I think everything that leads up to those medals, everything that leads up to the success is really what I'm most proud of. Born with my disability, found a way to adapt a world that wasn't necessarily created for me. I've always taken every situation and every circumstance that's in front of me and uses as a way to get up the ladder. It doesn't matter whether it's disability or from just where I grew up and how I grew up. I've
Mhm.
always used every single circumstance as a springboard to get me to the top. Those gold medals are something that I'm extremely proud of. But
Yeah.
having um, the having come back from the losses that I've come back from, having overcome some of the hardest times in my life, and then still be on the other side of it, smiling with some gold medals around my neck. That is what it's all about. So
Absolutely.
I think it's really interesting, or it's really fun to talk about the wins. Uh, Overcoming the losses is what I'm most proud of.
Wow. Wow. And speaking of growing up and where you came from, born in Detroit, Michigan, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right.
Detroit, Michigan. Um, just take us back to, what it was like growing up and dealing with your disability and overcoming and because not everyone can say, you know, I'm going to overcome this and be the best version of myself that I can be. So walk us through of how you've grew up in Detroit and getting through that growing up.
Yeah, of course. That's a great question, and I think when you talk about when I hear the term overcoming disability, I always kind of laugh at it because um, I haven't overcome disability. Disability isn't something I overcome. If I overcame disability, then I would no longer be disabled, right? So it's not something that I've
Absolutely.
overcome, and it's not something that I need to overcome. It's a circumstance just like everybody's born into. Some people
Hmm.
are tall, some people are short, some people come from wealth, some people come from nothing. Um, Disability is a life circumstance that I was born with, and I've never seen it as a disadvantage. There's a way that society sees disability, and there's a way that I see
Yeah.
disability. We don't
Yeah.
often agree, because I see it as a circumstance, and a circumstance that is not something that is necessarily supposed to hold you back. It's something that you're supposed to evaluate. It's something that you're supposed to analyze, and then use to your advantage. I find my disability to be sometimes an advantage at times. I'm able to see the world from a different perspective. I'm able to shed light on it in a different way, and I'm able to show people what disability is capable of and what people with disabilities are capable of. And that, for me, ultimately, that's a superpower that I have, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. And that's a great perspective of how you're seeing it. And with that perspective, so I'm going to ask you this question: with seeing it from that perspective, uh, I guess you give people grace when they ask certain, like either annoying questions or ignorant questions about your circumstance. And so how do you, because I know at times you may get annoyed, or you just like you said, you learn to deal with people asking certain questions or treating you differently than anyone else would treat you.
You know what? I don't ever find that annoying, right? If somebody has a question for me about disability, I see it
Hmm.
as I see it as a learning opportunity, and it's my opportunity and my chance to level that playing field and sort of debunk or demystify something that they might have assumed. I think there's a lot of assumption that comes with disability. So people go around and they
Yes.
think they equate disability with inability. So I find that anytime somebody has a question for me, I'm never annoyed by it. I think the things that are annoying to me is uh, leaving disability out or excluding because of assumptions or not
Mhm.
creating a path for success for people with disabilities, just
Yeah.
based off of ignorance or not knowing. That's annoying to me. But if
Yeah.
somebody has a question, I'm always happy to like kind of yeah answer those questions and teach something.
That's great. Great. All right. So let's talk about how you got into basketball. Uh, how did you fall in love with the game of basketball and getting to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a great question too. You mentioned earlier I grew up in Detroit, right? So,
Yeah,
I'm not without dating myself too much. I was born in the '80s. I grew up around the Bad Boy Pistons era, and
yeah.
it's almost impossible to have grown up in Detroit and not have fallen in love with the game. And just because I was sitting in this chair wasn't going to stop me from playing. You always saw me. Um, all out on the basketball courts with my friends. I was always trying to find a way to play. And when I was a kid, I quickly went from being, hey, there's that kid in a wheelchair to, hey, there's that kid with the basketball. And it very quickly became my identity.
Okay, all right, all right. So the you talked about that. Oh, and happy belated birthday too, because I know you just recently had a birthday as well. So it's
My man, I
me and you were
appreciate
both 80 babies, so we're
that.
probably around the same age.
My man, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Um, so what about the game? Because I'm a basketball junkie too. I actually coach youth basketball, so I'm my sons, my daughter, I have them in basketball too. So we're all about basketball. We're basketball junkies. So what about basketball uh, made you want to, you know, build out? I know because you're part of the 3-on-3 tournament and you have your own company where you're building as well too. What about basketball helped shape you into the businessman that you are today?
Ooh, that's a great question too. I think So I launched Fly Without Limits in 2023, and this was a couple of years after I retired. I retired from the national team after a successful run after the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. We won a gold medal. I got home, and I immediately got into the corporate space. I took a position at Visa, where I was working at a Fortune 50 company. It was my first corporate position. I was learning how to navigate new waters. All I really knew was I knew how to be a spokesperson. I knew how to be an athlete. I knew how to navigate those waters, but I was learning new skills and I was learning how to run a team and how to be a part of a large entity. So uh, that was really incredible, and it really helped me. It really helped me answer a lot of questions on how a business was ran. Well, I took those fundamentals and I took those skills that I was learning in the corporate space, and I coupled those with my passion to be an advocate for the disability community, and I saw something that was missing. You asked me what allowed me to be the businessman that I am. I think that a passion for advocating, just seeing and just noticing that there was something missing in the disability space. There was something missing that I knew that I could provide. So again, taking those fundamentals from the corporate space, taking that passion and drive that I had inside me, and then just noticing that there was something missing. All of that was just like the perfect recipe for creating Fly Without Limit.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to because you talked about Tokyo. Let's talk about that experience because that is a once in a lifetime experience for anyone, to be in the Olympics. So yeah, tell us the road and how you got there and when you got there, like what was that like?
Yeah. So you talked about how that is a once in a lifetime experience. A once in a lifetime experience that I made happen 5 times for myself. So being on the
Wow.
national team for 5 consecutive Paralympic games, um, it sounds easier than it is, maybe. Maybe it just sounds more difficult. Who knows? But it was my career spans across 5 consecutive Paralympic games. And that last game in Tokyo being my final one, um, was just as special to me as that first one in Tokyo, or I'm sorry, in Athens 2004. The only thing different about the one in Tokyo is we won gold there, and in my first one, we didn't place. So that kind of talks to you about I guess it kind of talks to you about the trajectory that we were on. We didn't place in my first games, We climbed that ladder. We finally made our goal, our I'm sorry, our rose gold run in 2012 in the London Games. We were able to get bronze. We followed that up with a gold medal in Rio 2016, and then 4 years later, we got back to back with the Tokyo 2020. Uh, it was a long road, and I'm grateful for the times we didn't win, but obviously I'm more grateful for the times that we did.
And okay, you talked about the times that you didn't win. So let's go into like, did you ever, or do you, as far as now, do you ever feel pressure to appear strong because of your story, or when you was going through the Olympics and you didn't get accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, and you wanted to show everyone, hey, I'm still keeping it strong, being strong. I'm still keeping moving. Tell us how you've dealt with that, and did you feel the need to the pressure to always be strong?
Great question. Great question. I think when it comes to the appearance of being strong, when it comes to um, trying to, I guess, exude confidence or exude strength, it's just part of who I am, right? Like I get up and I prepare for the day just like I'm preparing for a gold medal game. I'm no longer playing in, competitively right now, but I've got, 4 or 5 a.m. alarms and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start my day. And maybe I'm not preparing for a game, but I'm preparing for a pitch to a global organization, or I'm preparing to lead my team to host the DK3, which is the biggest and best 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball tournament on the planet. Whenever I'm leading my team, my Fly Without Limits team, I I run it as if I was, a part of a gold medal team, and I treat my each of my colleagues and each of my board members, I treat them like my teammates. This is really this really is my it was a different game for me. It's a really different sport, and I hope that we can be gold medalists at it. I hope Fly Without Limits can be the best and on top of the podium.
Awesome, awesome. Do you still get the itch to play? Did you hear me?
I didn't hear you. Sorry about that. Can you repeat
Oh,
that?
okay, no worries. Do you still get the itch to play?
That's a great question. I was just at the national tournament. I did some media. I was doing some commentating and spending some time with the athletes. And a lot of the athletes always come up to me like, "Hey, do you miss it?" And the I'll never have to miss the game because I still feel like I'm a part of it. I'm just a part of
Yeah,
it in a different way. So
yeah.
I I played the game and I reached the top of the level, right? Like I reached as high as I could possibly go. I was an all world team player, I made it to the Hall of Fame. I've done all the things that I could do as a player. So now I find it to be my responsibility to elevate the game beyond what I could do as a player. And I want to
Yeah.
create opportunities and create platforms for our athletes to represent themselves. So the DK3 it's not something that I created. It's something that a torch was passed to me. And now that that torch is
Okay.
passed to me, yeah. So the DK stands for David Kiley. David Kiley
Okay.
he's a he's one of my favorite Paralympians ever. He's a gentleman. He won many gold medals back in the day, and he was before my generation. He originated this tournament, passed the torch to me, and ever since I've gotten that torch, I've been running this tournament, and I'm trying to treat it like a professional um, opportunity for our athletes. I want to,
Yes.
we have we have a huge grand prize on the line. We put a lot of heavy investment into this, and the only way that wheelchair basketball is going to be treated like I believe it should be treated is if we heavily invest the way that we're doing at the DK3.
That's awesome. And you're saying you've part of the DK3 now, and you're mentoring other basketball players. Is it just men or is it women as well too?
Yeah, so my involvement with the DK3 is so I'm producing, I'm producing it under my organization, Fly Without Limits. So
Okay, yeah.
we are producing the entire tournament. We acquire our sponsors, and this year our presenting sponsors are Celsius, Muscle Milk, and Nature's Truth. And we're also supported by a lot of different partners. We're partnering with Performax, we're partnering with Venice Ball, and we're partnering with the Drew League as well. So we have many
Oh,
different
okay,
partners.
okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be out in LA, out in Venice Beach. Um, Fly Without Limits is the entity that's running the entire thing. I am the executive director of Fly Without Limits, so that's my involvement. I would see it more as not like a mentorship, but we are the organizers and we are the organization that hosts this tournament.
And speaking of mentorship, and I know you say you're a mentor too. So, what would you say to young men or even older men who are silently struggling but feel they can't speak up?
Oh, I mean, if you are silently struggling and you don't feel that you can speak up, I encourage you to really evaluate your community. And I think sometimes that's the problem is that there is a lack of community. I would say that if you are in a community and if you have people around you, I would say evaluate those people around you, because you might not be in the right surrounding, right? But if you don't have community, I would say seek it. There's often different communities for men like you and me, to share their struggles, share their stories, and we're all stronger together, and everybody knows that. So, if you're an athlete, find other athletes. If you're someone who, if you're an artist, find other artists. If you find people who resonate with what you do, and that community can really help you. You could kind of share those different things that you might go through. As someone with a disability who likes to play sports, the adaptive sports community has been huge. That's why I've created a community of other people with disabilities to support each other and empower each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, absolutely. So, who does because Matt, you seem like you're a very strong man. And men in general always present as strong. So, who does Matt Scott lean on when you need support?
Ooh, that's a great question too. I've always been a huge mama's boy. I share lots with my mom. She's the strongest woman I've ever known. Someone that I not only deeply admire and really look up to. She just always has my back and my best interest. I never have to doubt her intentions, and I trust her with my whole heart. I think that those types of people are super important. It doesn't have to be a mother or even a family member, but when you can trust people, um, without doubting their intentions, that's when you can truly be vulnerable. And I think vulnerability as a man is probably one of the most difficult things that we experience. But when you have those friends and family that you can be vulnerable with, that's when you can really take off and really fly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with the league that you're doing and that you're sponsoring, I mean that you're the executive director of, how have you seen wheelchair basketball evolve over the years?
Repeat that one more time. How have I seen wheelchair basketball evolve over time? Is what you said?
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, okay. I mean, my first, I started playing in the 90s, so um, a lot of experience in wheelchair basketball, and I've seen it. I would say the evolution of wheelchair basketball has more so been the perception of it, if that makes sense. So, sure, there's different equipment and different, the wheelchairs are different. There's lots of, strapping and different metals that they're making the chair out of. But none of that compares to how people see it. So when I first started playing wheelchair basketball, I would go to the airport for a tournament, and people would be like, "Oh, you're in the Special Olympics. I've seen the Special Olympics before." Um, Not knowing that Special Olympics is not for people with physical disabilities; it's for people with intellectual disabilities, and that um they wouldn't make that distinction. Whereas now, when I go to the airport, when I see people in the street, they automatically understand like, oh, that's a Paralympian, or this is parallel to the Olympics. And they're starting to see wheelchair basketball, not just wheelchair basketball, but adaptive sports in general. They're starting to see that under the different lens, and they're starting to see the equity there. So that is the evolution that I see, and it's less in the game and more outside the game and how it's perceived.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the, with social media being so strong and, and pushing everything out front, how has that helped adaptive sports and wheelchair basketball?
Game changing. It's game changing, man. Like it's so hard for it's so hard for adaptive sports to get coverage amongst all like the behemoths of like the NBA, the NCAA,
Yeah,
the WNBA. It's so hard for us to get coverage, but when we can just, for example, we're going to be live streaming the DK3 for the whole world to see. So I'm going to encourage your listeners, your viewers to
absolutely.
check out the DK3 May 9th and 10th. It's happening live in Venice Beach, but it's going to be on the Fly Without Limits YouTube channel. We're going to be live streaming it. That alone
Absolutely.
is huge because people might be able to see a sport that they never knew, they never understood, but they can tune in and see something that they maybe they're going to be a huge fan of. So the
Yeah.
internet, social media, YouTube, all those things, they have completely changed the game for us.
Okay. Great. Quick question. Who's your GOAT?
My GOAT in basketball.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's tough, man. I think I have an unsatisfying answer. If we're talking about NBA, top, you know, basketball players in the NBA, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go in eras, right? So in the '80s, I'm gonna say it's Magic Johnson. In the '90s, I'm gonna say it's Michael Jordan. In the 2000s, I'm gonna say it's Kobe Bryant. In the 2010s, I'm gonna say it's LeBron James. In the 2020s, I'm gonna say it's Steph Curry. And those are, for me, undisputable. Um, yeah, for me, undisputable. It's just not like those are the goats of their era.
That was a well-trained media answer. Yeah, you're definitely professional at interviews. No, no, that was great. That was great. That was great.
For sure.
It's yeah, so, how you feeling about the playoffs this year?
Man, well, I'm a Detroit Pistons fan, and I know we had an injury out of Cade Cunningham, but honestly, I feel like if Cade didn't get that injury, he might have been the MVP of the season. You can come at me if you want, but Cade Cunningham
No,
is
no,
special.
I no. No, you great case for him being MVP this year. Great case, great case.
Yeah,
The only
he's
thing
special.
though, yeah, he's very special. The only thing about Detroit, right? And the coaching staff did a great job coaching while he was out injured. Now in the playoffs, that's a totally different story because he's basically the only scorer, right? So so if they scheme, trying to shut him out anyway, someone else is going to have to step up.
You're right. You're right. But you know
So
what? I think they got it, man. They've got a really well balanced squad. I feel like, and they're not afraid to throw bodies at people as well. It's
yeah, yeah,
it's a really interesting
yeah, yeah.
style
I
of
got
play, and I
yeah, yeah. You got crazy Isaiah. He, want to fight everybody.
every
So yeah,
team
he
needs
definitely,
one, bro. Every team.
yeah, yeah, definitely the playoffs. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the DK3 because this is very important. I want to highlight this. Um, and I know you kind of answered this, but I want to shine a light on this. What makes the DK3 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball experience bigger than just basketball?
Ooh. So there's three reasons why the DK3 is bigger than basketball. One, it brings together communities that wouldn't normally be together, right? So there's men at this tournament. There's women competing at this tournament. There's wounded veterans from the military. There's Paralympians. There's collegiate athletes. There are basketball players representing so many different communities, and it all comes together on one court, and it's really a beautiful thing to see. The next thing is our investment in adaptive sports. The last 2 years we have given out or yeah we have awarded over $50,000 in prize money that goes directly to the athletes, and that's something
Oh, wow.
that's not being done. That's not being done in the states right now. You see a lot of there's adaptive sports organizations, and they have a lot of grassroots programs, and the funding would usually go to the program. We are not taking that funding. We are getting that funding to the athletes because we believe they deserve it, and we
Wow.
believe that there is a professional outlet in adaptive sports, and we want to see that future happen. So we're investing in it.
Yeah.
The next thing is, man, it's wheelchair basketball at its flyest. Fly Without Limits is an organization all about empowering our community. We do things fly, and we use fly as an acronym, fully living you. And
Yeah.
there's so many
Ah, I
there's
like
so
that.
many beautiful reasons to check out the game. Yeah, yeah. So we're really excited about it this year.
And and I know that this is your focus right now. And this may be a a hard question to answer right now. Like, are you trying to expand beyond wheelchair basketball in the future, with your company?
Yeah, so through Flight Without Limits, we definitely aim to do much more than just adaptive sports. Adaptive sports is one, I would say one pillar to empowering the disability community. We also do things through storytelling. We do things through employment. We do things through education, and we put our hands in you know, every facet of empowerment, whether it's accessibility, whether it's working on inclusion in the workspace or inclusion. Um, in education. We work on a lot of different aspects, and adaptive sports is just one of those pillars that we use to empower the community.
Absolutely. Um, talk tell us about or talk about the training aspect of wheelchair basketball. Like before the season starts, during the season, what does that process look like?
Great question as well. So when I was competing full time, you have training, 5 days a week. You have games on the weekend, and or games on Saturdays, and then you travel on the Sundays. So it was a all in kind of thing. You're on the court 5 hours a day. You're watching film, analyzing yourself. You're analyzing your teammates. You're spending time working on your chair, making sure that it's in tip top shape, and yeah, and working on your body, eating right, making sure you're in the gym, getting as strong as you possibly can, because it takes a lot of strength to play this game. And
Yes,
I
yes,
think people that have seen wheelchair basketball know how physical it can be, and you can't just be in there. It's not freeze tag. It's not volleyball. It's full contact. You gotta be built for this, and um, yeah, it's something you have to prepare for each day.
yeah, yeah. And I see you still in the gym. You just finished working out. So,
I did. I did. I stay ready. I stay ready
yeah,
just in
yep,
case.
yep. Stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
That's right. We talked about mental health as well, and I would say that staying fit and staying strong as I possibly can. I feel like that's a part of my mental health routine. I like to um, having a solid routine, having a healthy routine is something that not only I'm deeply proud of, but it's something that, it's a constant for me, right? So I know that getting that workout in, it's a successful thing that I can check off for the day, and it keeps my mental health strong and it keeps my physical health strong.
What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about Matt Scott?
Right. That's a tough one because I feel like if you were to do your research, I find that I'm pretty easy to find, and there's not a whole lot that I've left out. Like my story is out there, um, from my disability to my wins to my losses, to my injuries. Everything is kind of out there. Um, One thing that people don't realize sometimes is, so I've lived in 4 different countries playing wheelchair basketball professionally. So I've seen wheelchair basketball in other countries being treated the way that I'm using the DK3 to be, right? Like, so I told you about how we're investing and we're trying to make sure that our athletes are getting paid. I've done it in 4 different countries. So I speak a few different languages.
What?
And
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I've spent over 10 years living abroad. So I lived in Turkey, I lived in Germany, I lived in Italy, and I spent 1 year in Spain.
Okay. You speak German?
I can understand German, but German is definitely the hardest one, man. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was, but both of my parents were in the military, so I was born in Germany as well
okay,
too. So,
which phase?
um, Nuremberg, Bavaria, Germany.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yep,
Yeah, yeah.
Nuremberg. I lived in a really really small town. It's called Erfurt. It's on in eastern Germany. I lived there for about
Okay,
3 years.
okay, okay. All right. So good stuff. Good stuff. Um, so tell us, have you ever felt defined by your? That's not. Let's throw out the word disability for the rest of this interview. Have you ever
Okay.
felt defined by your circumstance and had to fight to reclaim your identity in any type of way?
I that's a good question, and I want to rewind for a second because you don't have to throw out the word disability because me, I don't see it as a there. I don't see that as a bad word. I think of disability is it's just like saying tall, short.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's I don't see it as something that you need to avoid. I think sometimes, and this is it's interesting to talk about is I found people try to talk around the word and they'll say like you differently abled or like they'll use all these different terms and I'm like, nah, bro, like you can say disability, it's okay. It is perfectly fine. It doesn't
Yeah.
offend me at all. So your question was, have I ever felt defined by it? The answer to that question is when you say defined, I've felt defined by it in the eyes of others, but I've never identified myself as by evaluating my disability. I define myself by how I approach the day, by how many people that I can lift up. Right now, I feel very defined by the fact that I run an organization and I wake up every day completely motivated to change the way that people see disability. That defines
Absolutely.
me. I have motivated thousands and thousands of people, both with disabilities and without disabilities. I define myself by that. There are people who I come into a room, they know nothing about me, and they
Uh-huh.
might see the disability first, and
Right.
they might define me in their eyes. Um, and those are the people that I hope to reach. I hope that this conversation reaches those people and be like, damn, you know what? He really does have something to say. Or damn, he really is out here doing some incredible things. I hope this conversation reaches those people. But I don't feel defined by my disability, but I do believe that there are people who define others by their abilities or their disability.
Absolutely. That's great. That's a great way to. I love your perspective, man. You make no excuses. You get up every day and say, I could do what anybody else does, and I'm gonna do it with a smile on my face. So I definitely appreciate your perspective, and the things that you've been through in your life. And with that being said, with you being with your, you have to be great in everything that you do if you want to be the best, right? And with you being a two-time, um, gold medalist, can you tell me what separates being good from being great?
I've had that question before, and I'm sure you've asked it before. So I want to give a less cliche answer.
Yes.
But I think the best thing that I could say that separates the good and the great is consistency. And I'm not talking about consistency in sport performance, like as an
Hmm.
athlete. Talking
Yeah,
about consistently doing the things that you say you're gonna do.
absolutely.
Consistently consistently keeping promises to.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry about
That's all
that.
right.
Yeah,
That's all
so
right.
I would just
We
say
can we can edit all that, so no worries.
I would just say consistently showing up, and that is going to be what separates the good from the great. Because you can be good sometimes. You
Yeah,
can show up and have a good day. You
yeah.
can show up and you can be a good person one time or do a good deed. But what do you do consistently? How do you show up for yourself? How do you show up for others? And that goes on the court, that goes in the family, that goes in the household, that goes on the street. Like, who are you every single day? And that's what separates the good from the great.
Absolutely. With men, young men, especially in these times with social media and you know everyone presenting their life on social media as great all the time, and sometimes that can weigh on young men or even older men that probably has some things going on in their life not going their way, and they're trying to find a wave of changing their mindset and being positive about things. How would you and what message would you give to a young man to number one, being consistently waking up every day, as far as saying, you know what, today's going to be a good day. You know what, today I'm going to do A, B, and C. Or today, you know, I know I've been putting off, going to college. I'm going to take that first step to go to college. What would you say to young people who kind of, you know, get stuck in that social media, always have to be great all the time, and only see people, showing off their wealth? How would you motivate them to see the reality in things and not just, and get distracted by those things?
Comparison is the thief of joy, and it
Yes.
always will be. And anytime that we try to compare our situation to another's, we're either going to always find somebody that is doing worse, or we're going to find somebody that's doing better. And it just depends on what what you're most focused on. Are you focused on who's doing better than you? Or are you focused on, competing with the ones around you? I would say just stop all of that comparison. I think when it comes to growth as a young man, if I was speaking to a young man or even an older man that just wants to grow, I would say there's some internal questions that you have to ask yourself.
Hmm.
Who are you doing this for? Like, if you're on a mission, who is it for? What is your why? What is your internal why?
Hmm.
And you just like, who do I do this for and what is my why? I think that when you have those questions, you don't have time to compare. You just have to answer those for yourself. Because when I wake up, my personal why is so deep to me. When I wake up in the morning and my alarm goes off, My why is to change the perception of people with disabilities. I have that every single day. And I know that when my alarm goes off, if I snooze that alarm, there goes one more opportunity that I had to change the way that people see it. I can get up and I can go have an amazing day. I can go get this workout in. I can go, do a speaking opportunity. I can
Mhm.
go run my business like a gent, or I could snooze and really sit back and just do what society expects me to do. I can tell you right now, when I wake up in the morning, society doesn't expect me to do SHIT. They don't expect me to run a business. They don't expect me to invest in my community. They don't expect me to do the things, win gold medals and speak to thousands and inspire thousands of people. They don't expect me to do that. But I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna
Yeah,
show up, and that's my
yeah,
why.
yeah,
I would say that there's so many people that need to just understand what their why is and who they do it for. And I think all that comparison will go away.
yeah. With you being very successful, do you feel the pressure of bringing the adaptive sports and or the community and being that voice? Do you think you feel the pressure, or you welcome and that because you want the change that so people can see that you know we're good too. I mean, we're just as good as people in the NBA. It's just a different aspect of it. So or just in life as well too.
Do I feel the pressure? Uh, I think I would be lying if I said that I didn't feel the pressure, but I would say that it's more of a responsibility. I feel like I have a responsibility while I'm here, um, to use my gift to one, bring up the people around me and inspire my community, empower my community, but also to educate the ones that don't know. And I think that while I'm here, that is a responsibility that I have. I don't feel like there's like some unnecessary shot clock, or I wouldn't say it's like a pressure, but it is something that I feel deeply responsible to accomplish.
That's great. That's great. So and you know you're all about breaking the stigma. Sharing real stories, showing strength and vulnerability, promoting growth and brotherhood, which I love as well too. So, all those things, um, are a part of what you know Matt Scott and the entity of what Matt Scott represents is all about. So, I definitely appreciate that too. So before we wrap up today, because I want to be respectful of your time as well, um, you know, tell me or tell not don't tell me, tell the audience, you know, when people say Matt Scott, what does that mean when people say Matt Scott?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've been asked that before, but I think the answer to I guess what I want people to think when they hear my name, I want them to think of somebody that's embodied resilience. I want them to think of someone who does the things that he says he's gonna do. And I want them to understand that this disability community means so much to me, and I have a desire to not only inspire the people that belong to this community, but people around it. I want both disabled and non-disabled people to be inspired by Fly Without Limits. And then ultimately, I want them to see somebody that knew how to fly. Like knew how to be fly, knew how to show up fly, and lived his life fully. And that's exactly what I'm all about.
That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead and give us the tournament dates for the DK3 tournament again,
That's right. The DK3, May 9th and 10th
May
in
9th and
Venice
10th.
Beach, California. is going to be the best 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball tournament that you've ever seen. There's going to be Paralympians, military veterans, collegiate athletes, men and women. And it's going to be live streamed on our Fly Without Limits YouTube page.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. So, Matt, I want to thank you. Sorry. I want to thank you for being on the show today. And one of the things that I always end off on the show is what we call the SAFE principles. We always want young men or men, period, to, self-assess, hold yourself accountable, follow through on the things you say you're going to follow through. And if you follow through on the things that you follow through, you're going to earn your keep. And, from hearing your story, you've done all of that, which made, who you are and your greatness and what you're trying to do and what you're doing right now for the community. So once again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your story. And I'm definitely going to keep following your story as well, too, and support as well. Because, it's important that we support each other. So I appreciate your time today. And, once again, we're going to check out on May 9th and 10th, right?
That's right, 9th and 10th.
May 9th and 10th. We're going to check that out. And it's going to be on YouTube.
That's right. It's going to be live streamed on YouTube. But yeah, feel free to pull up. Venice Beach.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. And I will definitely keep in touch.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
All right, signing off on the Pastor Mike's Son podcast show.
Mic check 1, 2. Yeah. I said it's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. I said it's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. It's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. It's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. Every single man needs some support. Go ahead, speak your mind, don't hold back, let's talk. Every single man needs some support. Go ahead, speak your mind, don't hold back, let's talk. Now I see you at your lowest, I've been there before. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. You don't have to hold it all inside no more. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. I see you at your lowest, I've been there before. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. You don't have to hold it all inside no more. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. Let's talk. It said it's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. It's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. It's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. It's Pastor Mike's Son podcast show. Men's mental health, I had to let you know. Every single man needs some support. Go ahead, speak your mind, don't hold back, let's talk. Every single man needs some support. Go ahead, speak your mind, don't hold back, let's talk. Now I see you at your lowest, I've been there before. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. You don't have to hold it all inside no more. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. I see you at your lowest, I've been there before. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. You don't have to hold it all inside no more. Tell me what's been on your mind lately, let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah. I said it's Pastor Mike.